Hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritland. I'm John Ritland. This is part 2 of my top 40 least favorite wrestlers. Where basically, if they had an in-ring career, and I'm talking like, a fairly lengthy in-ring career, at least 3 to 4 years, they qualify. I'm not including Josh Matthews, Vince Russo, Mark Madden, a few others that I don't like, Ed Ferrara, other people I don't like, that were traditionally just creative minds, aka creative cesspools, or just announcers. That will be for different shows. That will be like where I'll, later down the road, later this year, maybe possibly next year, I might do a top 10, top 20 of people I just can't stand in wrestling. And that can include anybody from managers to wrestlers to whatever. Anyway, I covered 40 to 33 on my list. Now I'm going to go from 32 to whatever in about a 15, 16 minute time limit. So thank you guys. Here we go. Number 32, Road Dogg. I'm glad he's clean and sober. Drugs and alcohol are killers. I want to say that right away. The guy was a shit worker. The guy got over with the fans, and that's fine. I mean, the guy just was a shit worker. He couldn't really work in the hardcore division. He wasn't really all that good outside of tag teams. I mean, him and Billy Gunn were a great tag team because of characters and chemistry and comedy. Billy Gunn's a better worker than Road Dogg ever was, or at least from what I could tell. I just never cared for him. It's like he did the same damn moves, which got him over. But it's just, you see one Road Dogg match, you've seen them all. He wasn't all that good. I mean, he was, I know he was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling for a bit. He was Jeff Jarrett's little roadie, hence where the term the roadie came from. And, yeah, I mean, and then he went to, he got fired from WWE. He went to Impact Wrestling, was there for a number of years and got clean and sober and came back. And now he's a backstage, agent. And it's good that he's clean and sober. The guy's shit. It's like, he argued with some fan or whatever, or he argues with Roman Reigns fans, or doesn't, or not. He argues with people who don't like Roman Reigns. If people are telling Roman Reigns to kill himself, or they hate his family, they hate his guts, this kind of stuff, okay. Keep it kind of simple. Let's not keep it that, narrow, guys. I mean, if you don't like his character, that's one thing. If you want to tell him he's not good in the ring, that's fine. Let's take it easy, but Road Dogg is a corporate stooge in every sense of the word, and somebody I never really enjoyed watching in the ring. I mean, it's like after he left WWE, he basically did the same damn thing in Impact Wrestling for a number of years, which, I mean, it worked and it was fine, but it bordered almost on him getting sued for basically doing the same damn thing. I mean, they did, him, Conan, and Truth did the 3 Live Crew. I mean, basically New Age Outlaws. I mean, that's essentially what it was. Him and Billy Gunn teamed up and, were the Voodoo Kin Mafia, and they were the James Gang, and they were, God, it was such rubbish. I never really enjoyed watching Road Dogg. Even when I would tune into WWE, I just never enjoyed him. I didn't hate the guy, but the guy never sparked my interest where I'm like, okay, I want to see what Road Dogg does. More like, when is this Road Dogg segment over so I can actually watch something interesting? I mean, it's just there was nothing interesting about him to me. I'm glad that the man himself has gotten his life together, and that's great. I just never cared for the character, never cared for his wrestling ability, or in my opinion, lack thereof. And I'm certainly not saying I could get in the ring and do anything. But of all the Armstrong clan that could wrestle, Road Dogg, while he achieved the most success, maybe except for his dad, because his dad achieved a ton of success, but without all the big national TV exposure, people may forget that, his brothers were better in the ring. Scott and Brad in particular. I know that there was another Armstrong, and I'm sorry if I forgot who else it was. I just never cared really for the Road Dogg. Just never did. Now we move on to number 31, Buff Bagwell. For a guy that was in WCW for 10 years, he never got much better than he was in his rookie year. DDP got into a pretty serviceable match on a Nitro in September 97. And him and, Lex Luger, fucking Lex Luger, were and by the way, Luger's further up on the list. A lot further up. Being, an egotistical group called Totally Buff, I mean, which kind of makes sense given the fact they were both in love with their physiques. And their physiques were the best part of them. Buff Bagwell was over enough with the fans. I mean, he was a cocky heel and that kind of stuff. Him and Scotty Riggs were a pretty underrated team called the American Males. In fact, I think a team that maybe should be talked about a little more because they had a theme song that burrows into your head. My friend Zach will know about that, and a few other people will too. A bunch of people have been watching WCW lately. I'm looking down, by the way, my list to make sure I don't lose track. But Buff, it's just, anytime I watch him, I'm just like, okay. I mean, the Buff Blockbuster was kind of a cool move, and I'm glad he was able to recover from any injuries that he had. And he seems to be doing fine now. I think he's getting into movies, and I hope he's done being a male escort, because I'm sorry, if you're a male escort or you're a female escort, you're doing stop doing that work. Why the hell would you do that to yourself? And men or women, I don't care who you are. But that's just my opinion. I just never personally cared for Buff Bagwell. I just never did. The guy was just, it's like, okay, he was egotistical. He had a cool physique. And he could hit a cool neck breaker, flipping neck breaker up top. Or, the Buff Blockbuster, as he called it. I can't name one other damn move that guy really could do. I mean, yeah, okay, people could say his WWE run got sabotaged because they had him and Booker T go out there in front of a crowd that didn't want to see WCW action, and that got all blown up. But then Buff was in NWA TNA for a little bit. That didn't last. And he's wrestled a little bit since, but then I guess has gotten into movies and stuff. And okay, if he has a good success, great for him. I just never care for his wrestling ability or his character. Number 30, Jeff Hardy. I want to clarify what I said. Pretty much the same thing with Road Dogg. Jeff Hardy has gotten himself clean. He's got a kid. I actually think him and his girlfriend might have 2 now. I think him and his girlfriend or wife now have 2. Don't quote me on that, but I know they have at least a child together. He seems to have his life straightened out. Him and Matt seem to be doing well. Matt and Rebby, just recently welcomed their second kid. That's great. Jeff Hardy is one of the biggest screw-ups in wrestling. He had chance after fucking chance after fucking goddamn chance. I have waited to say this. After fucking goddamn chance to get clean and to stop fucking doing the drugs, the fucking moron. Now, I've never had to make a triumphant return from addiction because I don't fucking get addicted. I've never had to get clean. Now, I don't know how it is to be on drugs. I don't. I'll never know how it is to be on drugs. God willing, I'll never have to be on any kind of medications or anything. But Jeff Hardy, he should have gotten a whole lot more out of his first run than he did. No, he didn't want to go to rehab. Left WWE, was fired. And then went on the Indies and then went to TNA. And had a pretty cool debut match against AJ Styles. And a pretty good feud with Jeff Jarrett. Can't say it was the greatest feud ever. But because Jeff Hardy, they didn't want Jeff Hardy to beat Jeff Jarrett for the title at Victory Road 04, even though it should have happened. They did a whole screwy finish, and then Jeff fell further down the card. And Jeff no-showed events in 05 and got suspended for a bit, and then brought back, and then was gone. I think the last appearance I remember him making was Genesis 05. TNA Genesis 05. He might have been on Impact after that. He wasn't on the Turning Point 05 card and wasn't on any of the cards after that, and then was... he came back to WWE and, of course, got suspended about a year later because Jeff's a screw-up. Got suspended not even a year later when he was slotted to win Money in the Bank in Mania 24 because Jeff's a goddamn screw-up. And then, of course, you have all that stuff. You have him, leaving WWE right before he got busted with a bunch of drugs and, pills and whatever in his home. And then the Victory Road 2011 incident. Let nobody forget that. I blame Impact Wrestling TNA. I blame them just as much for sending him out there as I blame Jeff for being screwed up. But that was ridiculous. And it's that stuff in particular is why Jeff Hardy's on this list. Because for all the flash and all the stuff that he tried to provide, all the great moments that he tried to provide, giving of his body, I will give him that much credit. He has done insane fucking things to his body to entertain fans. Myself included. Has he done stuff that's entertained me? Yes. The problem is, it's the same stuff he's been doing since about 2002. Well, since 2000, if you really want to be honest about it. And he needs to take care of his body better. Now, he's not on drugs. That's good. But Jeff Hardy up to especially 2011, 2012, well, especially 2011, screw up. And somebody that always should hang over his head. Oh, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody, this kind of stuff. It was more than a mistake. It was multiple mistakes. The guy should have been a multi-time champion in WWE. I'm not talking just tag titles. I'm talking multiple. He had some Intercontinental title reigns. He should have gotten longer WWE title and world title reigns, but he couldn't because the company couldn't trust him to stay clean and sober. His Impact Wrestling run, he had a few TNA title runs. And, he was screwing up during those. So, yeah, Jeff Hardy's on this list, and he's going to stay on this list. Now, he's lower because he cleaned up his life. He would probably be top 15 if he hadn't cleaned up his life. But, look, I'll never understand how it is to be in wrestling. Never. I'll never understand that. But doing drugs, it doesn't matter what your profession, it doesn't matter what you do to your body. You're doing drugs, you're doing something stupid, you're doing a disservice to your body, you're doing a disservice to your family. That's rotten. And that's why Jeff Hardy's here on the list. And that's why Jeff Hardy deserves to be on this list. Number 29, Triple H. Triple H is a good wrestler. I want to say that. He is not a great wrestler. And I'll say that. And I mean, if others want to say he's a great wrestler, he's one of the greatest, that's fine. That's great. If you guys love Triple H, that's fine. He buried Booker T at Mania 19, which he shouldn't have done. He's buried other people over the damn years. Yeah, he put over Batista in 2005, but that felt like way too little, way too late. And yes, his stuff in NXT, he's working great in NXT. And that's great. That is fantastic. That is wonderful. His feud with Roman Reigns was shit. It didn't matter booking or whatever. His feud with Roman Reigns was absolute shit. Triple H was always a guy that could work with the top guy. He could never be the top guy. Do I despise him as much as Bret Hart? No. That's Bret's own opinion. Bret worked with Triple H. I didn't. I've never worked with anybody. I'm just a wrestling fan. Give me my opinions. But I've never watched Triple H. I've never watched Triple H and said, okay, that's the guy. Does he love wrestling? Yes. Obviously he does. He's suffered horrible injuries. He's come back from, he's torn both quads separate times. He hasn't pulled a Vince at Royal Rumble 05 by tearing his quads. But Triple H is not somebody where it's like I'm watching, I'm like, okay, it's like the last really good match that he had at a WrestleMania was WrestleMania 30 against Daniel Bryan. I mean, his match against Sting wasn't all that good. His match against Roman Reigns was god-awful. His match against Seth Rollins was fine, but went on too long. I just never got why people saw him as such a great star. But also, there are people that don't understand why I have Bret Hart as my favorite superstar of all time. So, that's the thing, differing opinions and everything. But a lot of Triple H burying Townsend, especially that Booker T thing, that Booker T Mania 19 thing, will always bother me. Because Booker T should have fucking won that. And it's fucking ridiculous that he didn't. Absolutely ridiculous. And, you know what? I'm going to leave that off right here. Because the next one I really have to, actually, you know what? I'm gonna actually change my list around. Shane Douglas, and here's why with Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas got under people's skin in ECW. Shane Douglas was a fine worker until injuries and everything piled up, which happens with a lot of workers. But I cannot point to one Shane Douglas match after '97 where I'm like, oh wow. I can't point to one. And the guy screwed his body up, got all hooked up on drugs. You want to watch his WCW stuff in 99, 2000? Not exactly that pretty. His stuff in NWA, TNA, not that good. I mean, he tried to have a comeback in 2009 and injured his ankle against Christopher Daniels at Slammiversary 09. And that was bad. Shane seems to be clean and sober. I hope he's clean and sober. I really hope he is. But I've never seen the appeal of Shane Douglas. I never have. I would call Shane Douglas overrated. Do I think that Shane Douglas doesn't love the business? No, I'm not going to say that. He certainly was a good worker in his early days and certainly was a good worker in tag teams. But by 98, I can't think of really one good match that he had. I just can't. I really can. That whole feud that they built up with Taz, I mean, even if Shane was injured, that was one of the that was a feud where when they built that up in ECW, I'm like, really, that's it? That's it? That was not good. That was not good at all. Just with Shane, I just never got it. I just never understood why Shane was seen as one of the greatest stars of all time. I mean, and maybe that's because I'm not the biggest ECW fan. I'm just not. I just never. I saw ECW for what it was. A lot of guys that were working hard, but for for a product that had one good idea out of every 10, and a lot of the stuff they would put on TV was shit. They put a lot of stuff on there that was good, but more often than not, the stuff they put on was shit. And Shane was part of some really good angles in ECW. But by the time they got on major pay-per-view, and especially by 98, he was just done. And I just never got the appeal with Shane Douglas. I never popped for anything, and I hate it. It's like one reason I'm putting him on here is because he was facing Raven at one point. And I don't know if he was intoxicated, I don't know if he's on pills, I don't know what. But he puked live on pay-per-view. I mean, did he get gut shot or nut shotted too hard? I mean, what was that? I mean, that was just, ugh. It's like you're going to puke on TV because you're just messed up that much. I mean, you make a list like this. So anyway, that's it. So, do you agree? Do you disagree so far with what I've said? Like, share, comment, subscribe. My Twitter link is in the description. This has been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.